Next on Worcester News Tonight, a man is arrested after allegedly stealing a puppy from a central Massachusetts animal shelter. Plus, the city choosing its project manager to oversee progress and construction of Polar Park. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. A Grafton man faces a judge Wednesday. Police say he stole a puppy from a local animal shelter. He was arrested after he brought the dog back. The shelter says they haven't had to deal with a situation like this in a while. Our Rosalind Flaherty joins us now live with the details. Rosalind?
A quick action by an employee at the shelter led to the puppy's return just 3 hours after he was taken. And the man who allegedly took the puppy is a son of a candidate running for Congress.
This is the puppy named Mickey. Police say 19-year-old Alexander Lavorne stole from Second Chance Animal Shelter in East Brookfield.
We never expect somebody to be trying to steal a puppy in broad daylight in front of the staff.
Second Chance says Lavorne and another woman came to the shelter Tuesday looking to adopt and signed in under false names. They played with several of the puppies in an outdoor fenced-in area. Manager Lisa Blodgett noticed the woman left and says Lavorne let the puppies loose into the building.
I noticed that one puppy was missing, so I had the rest of the staff members checking the rest of the building for the puppy as I went down to the young couple, and that's when I saw the puppy in the car.
Blodgett got the license plate number and called police. She believes Lavorne handed the woman the puppy over this fence.
It's sad because then you think if someone has to steal a puppy, then they can't afford to take care of that puppy. So that's the scary part about it.
Police say later in the day, Lavorne returned the puppy unharmed and told them he was sorry and knew it was wrong. He was arrested and charged with larceny.
Why would you do that? You know, it just doesn't make sense to me to do that. You're going to get caught. The puppies are all our animals are microchipped.
Lavorne is the son of Tracy Lavorne, who was running for United States Congress for the 2nd Congressional District. She released a statement reading in part, "To be clear, he was responsible for bringing the puppy to the shelter on his own accord. He loves pets and would never intentionally hurt an animal." The shelter says an incident like this hasn't happened since they opened in 2002. They are happy Mickey is back because he was already adopted and is looking to go to his forever home next week.
He's safe and sound.
Now, Lavorne was arraigned today. He was ordered to stay away from the shelter and will be back in court in December. Rosalind Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.
The city of Worcester is holding a public meeting Wednesday night to get feedback on future improvements to Kelley Square. Worcester residents will meet with city officials to voice their opinions on the redevelopment of the dangerous intersection. Canal District businessman Alan Fletcher says his opinion is an unpopular one, but says the intersection is fine the way it is and works well with the amount of traffic flow. Fletcher was sat in during many meetings and says the city is taking a proactive and open approach to redevelopment.
They're nice people, they're smart people. I believe them. I just know we have to stick ourselves in the process or we'll get run over in some way. But that's not through malice, you know. People have this odd notion that Kelley Square is broken. It's not.
The meeting is tonight at Crompton Collective from 6 to 9 o'clock. Worcester's Polar Park is set to break ground in 2019. Today, the city announcing their pick for its project manager, bringing them one step closer towards construction. Our Chandler Walsh spoke with the city today about what went into this decision. Chandler?
Anna, the city began interviewing project managers last month and recently met with their pick. They say all companies brought plenty to the table, but Skanska USA was the best fit. An owner's project manager is chosen for Worcester's Polar Park. Skanska USA was selected among 4 others interviewed for the AAA baseball stadium job.
We need a company that, 1, we can trust, but 2, that knows what we're looking for.
We feel that Skanska can make sure that the project gets completed on time and on budget.
Paul Moosey and K. Russell Adams made the decision with input from PawSox officials. They say the project manager's job is to be the city's eyes and ears.
To oversee the progress of the architect, to look at the schedule and the budget, and to let us know when things might need attention. And then during construction, they make sure all the bits and pieces are being put together properly.
Moosey and Adams say the New York-based company was chosen for its experience and know-how. Skanska has worked on stadiums across the country, including Gillette and MetLife.
They have a team that's familiar with the project ballparks, they have deep resources as well that they can tap into.
The two say the company also stood out in its knowledge of state construction laws.
Mass laws are a little different than most other states, so somebody that's familiar with procurement laws.
The city is also beginning a 2-day selection process for an architecture firm. Musi says it's important to find a firm who will bring the latest technology and amenities to keep fans coming back. They're interviewing 7 firms with Skanska's participation.
They'll sit through the interviews. They'll give us their interpretation of who they think is the best fit.
The Worcester Redevelopment Authority will decide whether to authorize Skanska as the project manager on Friday. As for the architecture firm, the city's design selection committee will rank them, and the city manager will ultimately decide who the contract goes to. Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
A lot of Red Sox fans celebrating last night's big win, and we're seeing more Sox gear around the city of Boston today. Perry Russum reports from Fenway.
Let's go! The Red Sox are going back to the American League Championship Series, looking to update the banner outside of Fenway Park.
This reminds me of the 2014, the way everybody's playing.
After partying in the Bronx, the team arrived back in Boston early this morning as they prepare to take on the Houston Astros.
I think it's going to go the full 7.
Those orange hats are already popping up outside of Fenway.
She got out of the car and said she had to put it on, and I said, oh, don't do that. But, we have a good time with it.
Game 1 is Saturday night against the reigning World Series champs, the team that knocked them out of the first round last year.
We won last year, so we should be pretty good this year. I know the Red Sox are doing phenomenal, but it's going to be a great battle.
That heart-stopping win last night exposed some of the team's soft spots.
Pitching again, that's going to be the difficult part. They are really struggling and are going to have to look at the pen to see where they go.
Remember, from here on out, it's a 7-game series, so 4 wins to get to the World Series. At Fenway Park, Perry Russum, Worcester News Tonight.
A Worcester man who attempted to rob a grocery store on Vernon Street in May faced a judge today. Police say a clerk at no-name grocery store shot Juan Ahario, who was trying to rob the store and threatened a customer. Police say Ahario placed a knife around a female customer's neck. After she escaped, the clerk fired 3 rounds at him. Ahario was held without bail Wednesday pending a dangerousness hearing next week. Westborough police are looking for suspects who they say stole an elderly woman's wallet and used her credit cards. Police released these pictures of the male and female suspects buying gift cards at Staples with the victim's credit cards. They say 2 are both Hispanic in their mid-20s to early 30s. They believe the suspects targeted the victim at a store in town. If anyone has any information, you're asked to call Westborough Police. Wednesday marks World Mental Health Day. Its purpose is to raise awareness and eliminate the stigma around mental health. In Worcester, local organizations say knowledge is key. Our Brittany Schaefer joins us now live with more. Brittany?
Anna, according to Youth Move Massachusetts, 1 in 4 people will experience a mental health issue in their lifetime. The organization's Matthew Anderson says it's an issue close to him.
Anybody could have it, you just don't know.
Matthew Anderson struggled with depression and PTSD in his teen years. He says at one point he tried to take his life.
I had swallowed a bunch of my sleeping pills. Living through that kind of made me realize that at that moment when you really want something to end and it doesn't happen, at first it's such a disappointing feeling, but then you start to realize all the positive things that were in your blind spot.
The 20-year-old now works for Youth Move Massachusetts, which helps give youth a voice. Anderson meets and helps young people struggling with mental health.
We have dealt with self-harm, suicidal ideation, substance use, and the peer-to-peer support is to really have that genuine connection with that specific youth, that we understand where you're coming from.
Wednesday marks World Mental Health Day. Organizations who help and support the initiative say it's important to raise awareness.
In the olden days, it was the kind of thing that you didn't talk about. And now instead, and what I hope we get to in breaking the stigma that goes along with it, it's the kind of thing that we find treatment, we find support, we find assistance, we deal with it, we get to recovery, and we move on, or we find ways to live with whatever the issue is so that people can be productive.
According to the National Alliance of Mental Illness, 1 in 5 adults in the United States experiences mental illness every year. Anderson says getting people to understand mental health better is an important step to eliminating the stigma.
It's really just about being able to have the knowledge of what mental health is not and what it is. I think from where I was then struggling to now, I think the importance of it is still very strong. I think that the awareness still needs to be known.
Anderson says after his suicide attempt, helping others who may be suffering from mental illness has been fulfilling. Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
Thanks, Brittany. Switching gears now, with the midterm elections a month away, Worcester's gearing up for early voting. This is the second time Massachusetts has offered early voting. The first time was in 2016 during the presidential election. It will begin on October 22nd and run through November 2nd. The process requires funds to be budgeted each year to add more staff and pay for overtime.
Earlier this year, we budgeted for about $50,000 of expenses. This includes, making sure the early voting locations are operational throughout the day by having staffing, as well as having police presence and other costs that go inside, into making sure early voting is a success.
The city says there were about 16,000 people who took advantage of early voting in 2016 and hope to have similar numbers this year. For a list of locations, you can visit the city's website. Well, speaking of voting, Republican Governor Charlie Baker and his Democratic challenger Jay Gonzalez squaring off in their first debate. The two went back and forth on a number of issues, including transportation and the recent gas explosions.
$1.9 billion over the past 3 years on what I call the current operation of the T.
I'm surprised that commuters haven't revolted and started a petition to change the name of these T-passes from Charlie Card to Where's Charlie Card.
Gonzalez frequently reiterated that he would be the bolder, more progressive leader to Baker's status quo. But Baker was quick to respond.